Hello again, and thank you for staying with us. Ever heard of unschooling? Well, while the 2023 matric class anxiously awaits exam results, here's something to consider. Some parents have opted for this unconventional, unschooling way of education with the belief that their children learn through everything around them. But how does this work? Newzroom Afrika's Zikhona Tshona investigates.
The reimagined learning community is a group of people that practices unschooling, believing that education does not have to be restricted to a classroom and that learning is omnipresent, that children learn through experiencing life. Nonhlanhla Moro-Enyane is a member of the reimagined learning community. At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, when schooling was disrupted, she decided her children should not go back to school after she came across the community in Johannesburg. She is unschooling her children.
You know, when COVID hit, first of all, of course, everyone was scared. And, you know, when you walk into the world of the unknown and you're like, oh, my goodness, what's going to happen? And the kids are not going to school anymore. Abandoned at home. And you're like, oh, okay. Here's the real story now. The story is you are now going back to the books because you are no longer just sending your children to someone else for like 8 hours a day. You're spending those 8 hours with your kids at home and you're locked up and you have to now teach your children something, you know, and you're like, okay, so what do you start with? What do you begin with, you know? First of all, you're like, I don't know anything that's in the books, you know. And then it really didn't sit well with me. I went to school, but I can't remember anything in the books.
So how does it work?
Living is learning. Life should be. We should be sitting here at home and learning and doing so much more with our children. And that's exactly what our day-to-day looks like. We wake up every day. They do the things that they're meant to be doing every single day. That means we're cleaning up, we're washing the dishes, we're making breakfast, we're making sure everybody has eaten. My son has a job, so he has to go to work. He comes back, you know, and the others, they get on. We have our own activities. There's the bike that needs to be cleaned. There's the garden that needs to be done. You know, there's the chickens that need to be fed. There is a trailer, which we're busy doing a makeover there. We need to go and make sure that all of that. So whatever life throws at us on that day, there is no age. There is no time. So if we want to sit in class for 10 minutes, and if we want to sit in, I'm not even going to call it class. If we want to be in a learning space for 10 minutes, we do that. If we want to be there for 5, 6, 7 hours or an entire day, we do that, you know. Learning does not stop. Learning does not have terms.
Truly unconventional. No terms, no assessments, and no grades. Is the education department involved at all in this learning?
So, no. For what? First of all, they're going to look at you and probably call the cops and say, there's a crazy lady in front of us at doorstep. Please arrest her and take her children to school. And then you take, which education department? Have you looked at our curriculum, Mama? No. Maybe you have. Sorry, I'm not answering you. But have you looked at the curriculum lately? You know, and I'm like, how is this helping you take care of yourself? How is this helping you heal yourself from the traumas of the people you carry, from the traumas of your ancestors? We come from a very traumatic history as a black people. So, no, there is no costs. And the only thing that will cost us is if I have to go pay someone else to teach my children a skill they'd like to acquire. And I'm willing to do that.
Nonhlanhla says she does not see herself ever sending her children back to mainstream education.
My hopes and dreams is that my children can define what life is for themselves. And with the tools that we've placed around, you know, we are trying to move to spaces that are not going to be confined and are going to be hostile. We are here in a place like this where there's freedom of mobility, there's freedom of speech, there's freedom of being able to see. They get to see things, they get to watch things, you know. We're not going to say, no. You know, they are surrounded by so much, you know, and they want to exist to be themselves, you know, and I pray that they become the best.
Shivani Davids is the founder of the Reimagined Learning Community and says he believes children should have autonomy and not have a teacher feeding them information.
Reimagined learning is a stance on education and life that looks to sort of push the boundaries of what we have been sort of understanding to be basic education, realizing that maybe basic is not enough, and it's an act towards taking responsibility for that and practicing or moving from mainstream to multiple streams of education.
David says the curriculum in unschooling focuses on exploring.
Life, in everyday life, our lives are not in silos or in faculties. From the kitchen, there's maths, there's sciences, there's biology. If you go outside to the garden, there's a bunch of subjects there. So subjects are not facultized. They are more open, and yeah, we explore these subjects by virtue of living. Living and learning are synonyms of one another.
The Basic Education Department says unschooling would fall under homeschooling, but there is no certainty on how it works. The department says it does not know what kind of education is taking place under this method.
It sounds like a form of education that is offered to children in their own spaces, a curriculum that is developed by their parents, and but it doesn't sound conventional. It sounds like it has too much freedom. It also doesn't sound like there is structured learning.
Mhlanga says when parents have registered homeschooling, department officials can visit to check on the curriculum.
We have not been able to go to every home, but it's something that we say should happen. I know that some of the Home Education Association people are complaining about that. They say there has to be freedom. But we worry that in that gap, that's where kids could be indoctrinated, and that's where cults could be formed, and that's where other things could be taught to children. And we cannot stand by and watch when such things are taking place.
Mhlanga is urging parents to do thorough research on alternative learning methods for their children, adding that even in homeschooling, the curriculum given to a child should match that of mainstream learning. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Zikhona Tshona in Johannesburg.